Okay, I wanted to talk this morning about joy and sorrow. And one teacher that I follow talked about as the beginning the new year that we should do what he calls harvesting. And what he's really talking about there is sort of reflecting, taking stock of our past year. What wisdom do we gain from reflecting on 2022? What experiences did we acquire that guide us as we move forward into the new year? And so what this requires is that we look back without judgment, without self-loathing, without self-criticism, but with clear eyes, okay, but without the second arrow, without all that baggage. So for instance, if I acted poorly with someone, rather than push that away, it's sort of like, well, what did I learn from that experience? What did I learn from that challenging or problematic interaction? That's what he means by harvesting. Let's don't just blank out on what happened. Let's reflect a little bit individually and see, what have we learned? How have we grown from that experience? In other words, we have to keep the thorn in order to keep the rose. I love that metaphor. The new year holds all kinds of possibilities, but not if we block out a whole part of our experiences, okay? That embracing the challenges and the sadness is important because we want to lean into all aspects of our lived experience, both those that were pleasurable and those that were painful. The Buddha always reminds us not to push away what's painful, not cling to what's pleasurable, and try to move forward with that. We're always trying to avoid difficult feelings. It's just a reflex. But when we do that, we end up cutting ourselves off from so much of our experience. And so much of it can be sweet, some of it can be bittersweet. This is how life is. I mean, sweetness and sadness are poured from the same vessel in equal measure. Okay, that's another metaphor I love. It's sort of the yin and the yang of our lives. We can't have one without the other. We only know pleasure when we have pain with which to contrast it. Okay. We only know pain when we have pleasure with which to contrast it. I was talking to someone recently about the sorrow which accompanies being separated from loved ones after the holidays. And in that conversation, I was reminded of the Shakespeare quote from Romeo and Juliet. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Shakespeare clearly understood this sort of bittersweet nature of life. And yes, parting hurts because we care so deeply about those people we love in our lives. And the contrast when they leave is so great with being together and the joy that we get from being together. Parting intensifies our feelings. We feel that moment of sadness and joy simultaneously. That's the sort of bittersweet. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Such is the nature of our connection to those we love. We feel sorry when the fact that we feel sorry when parting is a sign of the deep love that brings the anticipation of meeting again and the joy that comes from anticipating meeting again. So it's always that combination, that the contrast between the pain and the pleasure, the joy and the sorrow. And so how we respond to the pain of separation, to being apart from those we love, it's a real window into whether we accept those things which are painful, accept all of life, all the complexity, all the facets of life, okay? And so we harvest, to go back to that term I used at the beginning, our memories as part of our gratitude practice. We are grateful for those moments. We look forward to them again, but we recognize that the other side of that is the parting, the sweet sorrow of parting. And we have gratitude for the totality of our experience. Each of those moments is a teacher. how do we manage, how do we navigate through both the pain and the pleasure of our experience, and the bittersweet nature that is life. It is not just all fun and games. It's not all pleasure. It is a mixed bag. It is bittersweet. And how do we embrace that fully, openly, with an open heart, and with a willingness to hold it all, to embrace it all. So I want to stop there, and let's talk about this, because it's a way to think about starting the new year and reflecting on the year that just ended.
Jeff,